houses wherein people have lived and died are haunted houses. Through the open doors, the harmless phantoms on their errands glide, with feet that make no sound upon the floors. We meet them at the doorway, on the stair, along the passages they come and go, impalpable impressions on the air, a sense of something moving to and fro. There are more guests at the table than the hosts invited. The illuminated hall is thronged with quiet, inoffensive ghosts, as silent as the pictures on the wall. The stranger at my fireside cannot see the forms I see, nor hear the sounds I hear. He but perceives what is, while unto me all that has been is visible and clear. We have no title deeds to house or lands, owners and occupants of earlier dates. From graves forgotten stretch their dusty hands, and hold in pining still their old estates. The spirit world around this world of sense floats like an atmosphere, and everywhere wafts through these earthly mists and vapors dense a vital breath of more ethereal air. Our little lives are kept in equipoise by opposite attractions and desires. The struggle of the instinct that enjoys and the more noble instinct that aspires. As the moon from some dark gate of cloud throws o'er the sea a floating bridge of light, across whose trembling planks our fancies crowd into the realm of mystery and night. So from the world of spirits there descends a bridge of light connecting it with this, o'er whose unsteady floor that sways and bends wander our thoughts above the dark abyss. Here tells the tale of the disappearance of Ichabod Crane, schoolmaster of Sleepy Hollow, the very same unfortunate Ichabod who encountered the ghost of a Hessian soldier whose body is buried in the town churchyard. The specter is known at all the country firesides by the name of the Headless Horseman of Sleepy Hollow. It was the very witching time of night that Ichabod pursued his travels homewards. No signs of life occurred to him, but occasionally the melancholy chirp of a cricket. All the stories of ghosts and goblins that he had heard now came crowding upon his recollection. The night grew darker and darker. A small brook crossed the road and ran into a thickly wooded glen. A few rough logs laid side by side served as a bridge over this stream. To pass this bridge was the severest trial. This has ever since been considered a haunted stream. As he approached, his heart began to thump. He summoned up all his resolution and attempted to dash briskly across the bridge. Ichabod jerked the reins, and his horse, Gunpowder, plunged to the opposite side of the road into a thicket of brambles, then dashed forward and came to a stand by the bridge with a suddenness that had nearly sent the schoolmaster sprawling over his head. Just at this moment, a splash by the side of the bridge caught the ear of Ichabod. In the dark shadows of the grove, he beheld something huge, misshapen and towering. It stirred not, but seemed gathered up in gloom. The hair of Ichabod rose upon his head with terror. What was to be done? To turn and fly, 'twas now too late. Besides, what chance was there of escaping ghost or goblin? If such it was, then the shadowy object of alarm put itself in motion. With a scramble and a bound, stood at once in the middle of the road. He appeared to be a horseman of large dimensions, and mounted on a black horse of powerful frame. Ichabod quickened his steed in hopes of leaving him behind. The stranger, however, quickened his horse to an equal pace. Ichabod pulled up and fell into a walk, thinking to lag behind. The other did the same. On mounting a rising ground, which brought the figure of his fellow traveler in relief against the sky, Ichabod was horror-struck on perceiving that he was headless. But his horror was still more increased on observing that the head, which should have rested on his shoulders, was carried before him on the pommel of his saddle. His terror rose to desperation. Away then they dashed through the thick and the thin, stones flying, sparks flashing at every bound. Ichabod's flimsy garments fluttered in the air as he stretched his long, lank body away over the horse's head in the eagerness of his flight. They had now reached the road which turns off to Sleepy Hollow. But Gunpowder, who seemed possessed with a demon, made an opposite turn and plunged headlong downhill to the left. This road led over a bridge to a green knoll on which stands a church. The panic of the steed had given his unskillful rider an apparent advantage in the chase. An opening in the trees now cheered him with the hopes that the church bridge was at hand. For once he crossed that very bridge, the ghost's power would surely end. Just then, he heard the black steed panting and blowing close behind him, even fancying that he felt his hot breath. O Gunpowder sprang upon the bridge. He thundered over the resounding planks. He gained the opposite side, and now Ichabod cast a look behind to see if the pursuer should vanish. Just then, he saw the goblin rising in his stirrups, and in the very act of hurling his head at him. Ichabod endeavored to dodge the horrible missile, but too late. It encountered his cranium with a tremendous crash. He was tumbled headlong into the dust, and Gunpowder, the black steed, and the goblin rider passed by like a whirlwind. The next morning, the old horse was found soberly cropping the grass at his master's gate. Dinner hour came, but no Ichabod. The boys assembled at the schoolhouse and strolled idly about the banks of the brook, but no schoolmaster. And after diligent investigation, they came upon his traces on the bank of a broad part of the brook, where the water ran deep and black. Was found the hat of the unfortunate Ichabod, and close beside it, a shattered pumpkin.
Scary? We'll feast your ears on this.
Both be prepared to be truly scarified. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious folly of forgotten lore, while I nodded, merely napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember brought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my books a cease of sorrow, sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maid, whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping. So gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping, tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard it tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here, I flung the shutter, when, with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Paris just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more, though thy crest be shorn and shaven. Thou, I said, art sure no craven, ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from a nightly shore. Tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." Be that word our sign of parting? Bird or fiend? I shrieked, upstarting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plume as a token of that lie thy soul has spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken. Quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, "Nevermore." And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Paris just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore.
This is a tale of 3 children bold, on one Halloween night, stormy and cold. For too much candy from their neighbors they did take. It is known that their greed set their fate. All the village's treats they did amass, except one last house, whose gates no one would pass. To the spooky old mansion the craving children went. To the last of the town's candy, they were fast on its scent. Along a path of shattered slate they cautiously walked, greeted by cawing ravens and a black cat that stalked. Clang, 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 the cauldron-shaped door knocker rang. Creak, 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 the giant oak doors slowly swang. Standing before them was the cutest child, almost their age. With a wink and a wave, he invited them into his magnificent Victorian cage. To his parlor they followed, where an enormous mound of sweet treats they did greet.
"Where did you get all this candy?"
The children dared to ask.
"I took it from the good townspeople. 'Twas quite a task. Here, why don't you have some?"
He offered, presenting a tattered old sack. Several pieces they took, smelled, and tasted, but moments later they began to gag and hack. The children cried,
"It tastes like shoe leather and slugs mixed into a stale dough." "I'm not surprised,"
the boy said.
"as I stole it nearly a century ago or so."
The children's mouths agape, they did fear. What is this boy thing standing far, far too near? And for the first time he did smile, exposing teeth yellow, pointed, and vile.
"And with those bites, you now share my plight, to live in this mansion for eternal night."
The thick doors groaned loudly and slowly began to shut. The children raced for their freedom, faster than any hunter's hungry mutt. What of their fate? Did they escape? No one knows, but have no fear. At least the town's candy is safe, and shall never again disappear.